Hey everybody, my name is Thomas Morris, for those of you who don't know, and today I'm going to be showing you 25 ways to stop clickbait titles from destroying your mental health. And I was originally going to name this 33 Best Hacks to Overcome All Your Problems and Be Instantly Satisfied with Everything in Your Life Now. Hashtag live your truth, hashtag this is fine, hashtag why do I cry every night, i.e. the negative health effects of the ad revenue model. But given the fact that we're living in 2021 and long titles just don't do it, you're stuck with 25 ways to stop clickbait titles from destroying your mental health. Anyway, quick recap from last time in case you missed my previous presentation about why the internet is terrible now. Well, you know this guy, right? And you know this guy, don't you? And this guy, you probably know him, and this guy, and maybe this guy. And these are all really great platforms. They're really good for helping us keep up with our family, assuming that your grandparents know how to use social media, because mine definitely don't. Or they're really great for getting the latest news, or they're really great for watching cute, distracting videos of this good boy. And the best part is, it's all free. The only way that they make their money, though, is just by showing you ads like this, for instance. And really, that's pretty great. I mean, that's really no problem, right? Well, if you remember this whole diagram from last time, I mean, I definitely remember it because I spent all day working on this presentation, but this whole thing completely requires your attention whenever you're online. So the more attention that you give to Facebook, for instance, the more effective their ads can be, because the more they can track what your usage habits are, they see what things you comment on, the things you like, the things you share, what kind of ads you spend the most time of screen on, like based on your scrolling. And then the more you're engaged, the more ads they can show you. So the more money they can get. So overall, the more attention you spend on screen, the better it is for these companies. And they're going to try to maximize that the most they can. The difficulty is that attention is pretty limited. I mean, I don't know about you, but the last time that I tried to watch the news while reading a book, while trying to have a conversation with my bored girlfriend, while trying to learn Italian, you thought that I was going to say play Super Mario, didn't you? Last time I tried to learn Italian, all these four things together didn't really work. I mean, most of the time, if you ask my girlfriend, she says I'm pretty bad at even just one of them. But ultimately, the ad revenue model makes its money when your eyeballs are on their screens, looking at their ads and reading posts. So as a result, they're going to try to make their content as sweet and sticky and addictive as possible, which is why, like we said last time, you know, they will make badges, for instance, to be as bright and colorful as possible. I mean, they even have psychologists who work on their teams to try to figure out which colors are the most engaging. And they'll also show you the most controversial, screamy topics possible, because the more that you're mad, the more you're going to comment on it, and you're going to share it to your friends and talk about why it's terrible. And like we said last time, this is really bad for things like democracy, because bad actors can come in and use that to their advantage. But we're going to talk a bit more about the personal side. We're going to talk about how it's bad for your mind and my mind. So maybe you remembered the last time you were over at a friend's place and you were sitting in their nice Swedish kitchen having a nice conversation with a cup of coffee, and their kid is like, "Mom, mom, 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 guess what?" "Yes, honey. Look how high I can jump. Look, see, watch me, watch me." And then they jump like 5 centimeters in the air. And, you know, you have to be like, "Oh, great, honey, that's wonderful." You know, you have to look impressed, because if you don't, then they're going to need therapy when they grow up or something. And so after you finally get them to go back to play with their toys, you continue talking with your friend about, I don't know, mortgage rates or whatever things are interesting to us nowadays. And then after about 5 minutes of talking about housing markets, you know, this kid suddenly is like, "Hey, mom, 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 guess what? Guess what?" And you're like, "Oh, God, again. What?" "Mom, mom." "Yes." "I said what already?" "Yesterday at school, I drew a turtle." "Great. That's great, honey. Good job." And that's basically our life right now on the internet. And it just never stops. Everything from all of the notifications you get, like when you're in the middle of a meeting and you get this notification saying, "Hey, this one guy in this group that you joined 5 years ago and forgot to leave, he just posted a video that you're gonna love. Why don't you check it out?" And you're like, "No, I'm in the middle of like an interview, like this is important." Or when you are stopping to go and look at an ad really quick, or sorry, an article really quick to learn something about how to program, I don't know, whatever. And suddenly that video appears like in the top of the screen, you know, with some ad, and you try to scroll away, but then the ad like goes to the bottom right corner and it's following you while you're scrolling, and it still keeps like shooting its stuff into your eyes and distracting you. Or the one time that you go on YouTube to watch a video that your friend posted to you, and when it's finished, immediately 5 seconds later, they're just gearing you up for the next one with up next, and you better click away, otherwise it's gonna start and you're gonna love it. Yeah, all of this background noise is what's going on right now, and it really takes a big toll on us. Kind of like, you know, after you've had an hour of this, you're exhausted. The constant background noise really, really messes with our ability to just operate like regular people. There was a study that was done in the US that showed that the average person spends about an hour every day just dealing with distractions and getting back to being focused. That's not an hour of sitting scrolling through Reddit. That's an hour of realizing, hey, I've been scrolling through Reddit. Okay, I really need to put this away and like get back to what I was doing, and putting themselves back into the mental headspace they need to in order to focus. An hour a day, just getting back on track. And that comes out to 5 full weeks a year. That's not the kind of life I want to live. I don't know about you. There was another study that showed that when they studied 800 people, they showed that when social media usage goes up, memory failure on the next day also goes up. And I mean, I would venture to think that when you're pulled in a million directions and there's constant distraction after, hey, look at this, now look at this, and the next thing, it really does something to your ability to really focus on one thing for a long period of time, long enough to solidify things into memory. But this isn't really even the biggest problem, honestly. There was another study that was done where they took 2 groups of teenage girls, and they tracked one group where the girls spend approximately like an hour a day on social media, and they found this other group of girls where they spend on average 5 hours a day on social media. I mean, that sounds like a lot, right? But ultimately they found with the group that spends 5 hours a day, they were 66% more likely to be involved in incidents that relate to suicide, whether that be through self-harm or something else. 66%, man. Sounds like a pretty big problem if you ask me. But why? Why is this? Why does social media do this to us? Like, it seems kind of weird. Well, I have a theory, at least. My theory is that we're social animals, just like these cute Japanese macaques. We thrive on social connection. We thrive on care and attention and mutual agreement. And as a result, getting likes on Facebook is a nice simulation of that. It almost feels like the real thing. And whenever you get attention, like you post a video and your friends are like, wow, your hair looks so great today. Or, wow, your eyes, what happened to them? Well, you know, like, it makes you feel good. It presses all the evolutionary buttons that we were designed to want, and that feels good inside. But then there are other times too where you post a photo and like only your aunt and your mom like it, and you end up feeling kind of like a loser because nobody else likes it except for the people that have to like it because they love you. And then there are other times where you look online and you see all these photos of all these beautiful, good-looking people, and you know that sure, there's filters, that's not what they really look like, but you see that and you compare that to your dumb, ugly, boring face in a regular mirror, and you don't have butterflies in your hair, and it kind of makes you feel like everyone else, like you just look mundane and normal and boring compared to everybody else. Or the fact that you see people on amazing vacations in Madeira or Thailand, or, oh my God, look at this huge rager party we went to, woo! Or I just got this new job, look how great and successful I am. And all you see are the good parts of people's lives, and you don't see like the boring, normal in between, or even the bad parts. And so it starts to make you kind of feel like you're on the left side of this divide here. Like, you think that honestly, everyone's just having more fun than me. Like, my life's pretty boring. What's wrong with me? And then if you combine that with the fact that every now and again you'll post something and you'll get a lot of likes, and that feels great, and you feel like, it feels validating. I mean, who doesn't feel validated knowing that people like the things they do? And you do that, and then you post another one and it gets nothing, and that feels terrible. And you post another, and maybe that one feels good, maybe not. It kind of comes down to this, like the slot machine effect, right? You put a coin in the thing, you pull the lever, and you're waiting, and oh my God, it turned out great, wow. And you do it again, and oh, it lost. And you do it again, oh, it lost. And it's unpredictable. But it's that unpredictability that keeps you coming back. And I think this sort of reward and like feeling kind of gross cycle perpetuates things, and it makes you feel pretty bad. There's another thing that happened where they did a study showing, like, they asked people their reasons for getting plastic surgery, right? And in 2016, 13% of the plastic surgeries done in the US were done for the sake of social media. So whether that's like some influencer getting a nose job or, you know, whatever to get more followers, it doesn't matter. So 13%. 3 years later, that number quadrupled to 55%, to where more than half of the plastic surgeries done in the US were being done for the sake of looking good on social media. And the greatest increase of people that were doing those surgeries were under the age of 30, particularly teenagers. And I don't know about you, but the idea of teenagers getting plastic surgery kind of creeps me out. But the funny thing is that even though we have all this time together, or like we have all this time on the internet, and you know, you're engaged and all that, it actually has the opposite effect. There have been studies done that showed that when people reduced their time on social media, they actually had decreases in depression and loneliness. So the less time they spent, the better they felt, which is kind of weird. But okay, I hear you saying it. Oh, Thomas, you're always this prophet of gloom and doom. You're always talking terrible things about Facebook and Reddit and how they're rotting your brain. You sound like my grandpa. But really, okay, fine. What can we actually do about this? I mean, you said that you have 25 ways to stop clickbait from destroying your mental health. So what are they? I don't know. Sorry, man. I just made this title so you'd watch my video. Okay, yeah, I have a couple of ideas, but I mean, they're not just mine as well. They're ones I read on the internet, so I'm not some genius guru here, of course. But I mean, honestly, one of the best ways I'd say is if you can find ways to spend time off screen with real people in real life, that's a good thing, instead of getting this like weird simulation of social interaction that's not actually real. So you could buy an alarm clock. No, I'm not even kidding. You can buy an alarm clock in the morning. I mean, I know for me, when there have been several times that, you know, I would go to bed and I would set an alarm on my phone because I have my phone all the time. And I would wake up at 7:30. 7:30 comes around, beep, beep, beep. Oh man, oh. And I get up and look at my phone and turn it off and, oh wow, I have a message from Susie. What's that about? Oh yeah, they said that there's this party. Oh, okay, yeah, it's a Saturday. All right. Of course, this was pre-COVID times. I'm like, oh yeah, Saturday, okay. And so I'd get on Facebook to go and register for the event or whatever. And then, you know, along the way, I'd get distracted looking at my newsfeed, and 20 minutes go by and I'm still in bed and I'm staring at my phone, scrolling through Facebook's newsfeed when I need to get up and do stuff. And if I just had a regular alarm clock that would wake me up, it would completely short circuit this entire process. In fact, if you could just sleep with this thing in the other room from you, that's probably even better. So you can have one of these things to wake you up like normal. Also, too, this whole ad revenue model is pretty bad. So there are other apps that you can switch to that are not based on this. Are they as fun? No, they're not. I'm sorry. But honestly, I don't know what to tell you, man. I mean, it's probably better for you. And even though it's going to be a bit painful, it's just how it goes. I mean, one thing that I could probably think of, since it's just a chat app, and I mean, who really needs super huge engagement from this, you could maybe switch to Signal instead of using Facebook Messenger or WhatsApp, because Signal's entire money model is based off of grants and donations. That's it. So whether you spend 10 minutes a day on Signal or if you spend 3 hours a day, Signal doesn't care. They don't have a reason to get you to stay online. So as a result, they have a decent incentive not to make their stuff gross and addictive. Also, the nice thing too is that it's open source. So if anybody does try some of that stuff, then hopefully, you know, somebody would call it out because there's more transparency. Or, you know, this guy, TikTok, I mean, it's not my cup of tea because I'm not 15 years old, but there's another alternative called Marco Polo, which does something very similar, but it's based on a subscription model. So you have to pay monthly for it. I know that sucks. especially like I hate paying subscriptions personally. I've been using my friend's Netflix for years because I don't want to pay $12 a month. But I don't know. Or if you have a kid and you just like don't want them to kill themselves, maybe get them on Marco Polo instead of TikTok. I don't know what to tell you. Also, instead of Instagram, there's this other app called VSCO that I was trying out a bit. This one's pretty cool. It's also on subscription model. But the interesting thing is that there's nothing about like followers or likes. Like, so if you have an account and you post something, there's no likes on it that you can see. Granted, if you want to follow someone so you get updates or whatever, you can, but they just don't have this like, you know, like count that they're trying to keep up with because they don't see how many people follow them. They don't see how many likes they have. Also, the nice thing about this is that from what I saw, it seems like a lot more of the photos just are a lot higher quality. They seem a lot more artistic and they're not just like idiots doing like duck face selfies all the time in front of, you know, like island backgrounds. So yeah, this could be a decent alternative. Also, there's going to be some times that you're not going to be feeling great about yourself. There's going to be times you're going to feel lonely. Of course, we all do. Honestly, in those times, I think it's good to have a backup. And if you can like save screenshots of the messages you've gotten from people that, you know, like when they've sent you something like, you know, hey, I really appreciate you as, you know, anything that makes you feel good, save those into a folder, and even like photos of you with people you love, and look over those when you're feeling sad and alone. It can help a little bit too, as cheesy as it sounds. So for me, this is also one that I use all the time. It's this browser extension called Undistracted, and actually I will just demonstrate it right now. It's pretty cool. So if we go to Facebook, you guys are gonna see my embarrassing feed here. In here, you can like actually control several different apps or whatever, but like Facebook, if you don't want your news feed to show up, you just say hide feed, and it completely removes it from the DOM. Also, if you don't want to see any likes or comments on the videos or posts that you've made, you can turn that off. Or if you're someone who gets distracted always going to the Facebook marketplace, trying to buy stuff that you don't need, you can turn that off. And you see it just removes it. Oh, that's cool. And YouTube, you can turn off like the comments. This is always the worst part for me with YouTube comments, because I'll finish watching a video somewhere and I always have the same stupid thought with my same stupid brain thinking, oh, I wonder what other people think about this. And I go through, and the YouTube comments section is like the second worst place on the internet after 4chan. It's just like the worst human beings hang out there. And I always regret it. And I don't know why I do it. So this just helps me, it short circuits the entire process. So I don't ever go on there. You can also hide the like, ooh, these are up next, or like, you know, try this out. So I would highly recommend this browser extension. I use it all the time. And now let's see if I can make this work again. Is it gonna work? What about this? All right. I'm hoping you guys can see this again. So yeah, this browser extension is really great. Another thing you can do is if you make a time each day as that being like a designated untouchable time where there is just no technology allowed, it can be really helpful, especially if it's the same time every day. Like, so for me and my girlfriend, like she has a really hard time sleeping sometimes. And we found that usually whenever we've been watching TV or on our computer right before bed, she can't sleep for like hours. So we started doing this thing about a year ago, I guess, where before bed, about an hour before bed, we'll actually turn off all our devices. We'll kind of like dim the lights and make it low, and, you know, kind of make it, you know, more sleepy feeling. And we'll just talk, or we have a book that we're reading together. So we'll like read out loud to one another. And it's nice. Like, it enables us a time every evening just to like kind of catch up and reconnect, instead of, whereas before we were just sitting side by side, ignoring one another, being on our phones. Like, it's a nice way to like reintroduce more intimacy into the relationship. Finally, too, there's another app called Moment. And this one's pretty great. I was using this for a while, but it stopped working on my phone because I have a really cheap, terrible one. But if you have the newest iPhone, I'm sure it'll be fine. So this one actually will keep track of how long you spend on your phone. And so for me, it was really hard using this at first, because I saw that I was spending like 3 hours a day on my phone or something. And I thought, what? How is this possible? But actually, it was really helpful even just seeing day by day what my usage was. Like, it was a constant reminder, and over time, just even knowing that it was being timed started making me use it less. And they even provide you like tips and hints and goals you can make to like reduce your screen time. And that's really great. So I would recommend that for sure. So that's about it. In recap, well, there is no recap because we're on a shorter time scale and I'm probably already gone over. So I'm just going to say, ads are bad, okay? And spend more time with people that you care about in person, because seeing people face to face is really important for who we are as humans and stuff. So that's about it for me. Thanks for listening.